Oh, what's up guys, it's Oblivious Gamer here. Today's video I wanted to talk about Mobile Suit Gundam, specifically about its video games. And well, ask the question, what would you want to see in the next Gundam game? Video games based on the Mobile Suit Gundam IP are not something new. I mean, we can trace them all the way back to 1983 with Kido Senshi Gundam Part 1, Gundam Daishi Nitatsu. Through the years, there has been countless. Some might have been part of your childhood if you were playing video games in the early 90s to 2000s. Games like Gundam Battle Assault, or my favorite, Gundam Battle Assault 2, which I enjoyed a lot. The Dynasty Warrior Gundam games, which I've never played, but I've heard so much from different people. Shin Kido Senki, Gundam Wing, Endless Duel, fan favorite, Federation vs. Sion, and many others that came out during the time. Of course, I always hear more about the ones that I mentioned people talk a lot about. Some of the Gundam games were good, while others were not that great, especially looking back. Well, at least if you try those games right now. You know how sometimes nostalgia can affect how we see things from the past, and then when we replay them now, it's like, I feel this was different. Nowadays, we still have games being made based on the Gundam IP. You can see, for example, the Gundam Extreme Versus series, which is going very strong in the arcade scenes in Japan. You have the SDG Generation Gundam, those SRPGs that are very fun, people love them, and they just keep making them. And of course, also some of the effort that's put, the cutscenes are always superb. We also have the Gundam Breaker series, which has continuously been released throughout the years. Recently, we got something a bit new and different, which was Gundam Evolution, a free-to-play first-person shooter, which kind of like a hero team shooter. And it was like something new. Some people like it, others don't, but hey, they're trying something new. We also have SD Gundam Battle Alliance, which was kind of like an action-y RPG game, and it was a bit different from what they tend to do with the SD Gundam games, at least recently, and it was okay. I mean, I enjoy it. And then of course we have Gundam Battle Operations Code Fairy, which was a bit of a surprise. I did enjoy it for what it was. It was more like a story mode, and the thing with Gundam Battle Operations Code Fairy was it was using the Gundam Battle Operations 2 engine, so a lot of the gameplay was very similar to that game. Now all these games were okay-ish, but I don't think they were like massive sellers or they were received extremely well. But I think most people found them like enjoyable for what they were. Personally, I still play Gundam Evolution for what it was. I mean, I have like 200 hours in the game. I still come back daily to do the weeklies and just play a bit and have a good time despite the problems that it had. Then of course SD Gundam Battle Alliance was still fun for me, though I do understand why some people didn't enjoy it that much, as there was a lot of repetitive aspects and it didn't have all the mobile suits that maybe people wanted to see. And Gundam Battle Operations Code Fairy was still enjoyable. I had fun with the story and playing it despite not being a fan of Gundam Battle Operation 2. And of course the honorable mention goes to still playing Gundam Extreme Versus, which is one of my favorite series ever. And I have put so much time and I still love playing it. Looking at many of the recent titles that have come here to the West, some could argue they're not that great or they're not marketed well. I mean, New Gundam Breaker was horrendous. Plus it's sad that was the game that people from the West got to officially experience from the Gundam Breaker series, when Gundam Breaker 3 was really good. It was fun, amazing, and I enjoyed it. I also always felt the Gundam Extreme Versus series could perform better if Bandai promoted the game more and did tutorials to help out, because the game has a big learning curve and it can be intimidating to beginners. The SD Gundam Generation games are mostly released in Japan, but the latest ones, which if they release on the West, they're only released on PC, despite the games having, a PS4 and a Switch version in Japan. And of course, yes, it's great that it's released in PC, but it limits the audience. Super Robot Wars had a similar thing that happened. And we can go on, and I could talk endless about that, but that's not what we're here to talk about. Instead, I want to ask, what do you want to see in the next Gundam game? I mean, yes, Gundam Extreme Vs. 2 Overboost is coming out soon, but that's in arcades in Japan. We're not gonna see that here in the West. Right now, we don't know of any Gundam games coming for consoles or PC that are currently announced or being developed. I personally think they're quite the options. I know there's people who would love to see a Dynasty Warriors game or Muso style Gundam game. I think that could be interesting to see, especially with how much the Muso genre has improved and changed over time. I think it would be fantastic, and I think they should just give it to Koei Tecmo and let them handle that. But again, we'll see if they would do that. They could revisit the Gundam Breaker series, which was really loved by so many people. But again, sadly, because of New Gundam Breaker, that did a lot of harm to the franchise. And they do have a lot of options here with Gundam Breaker. They could completely ignore New Gundam Breaker and make Gundam Breaker 4. They could do like a reset and just start with like a new, like just be Gundam Breaker and start from there. Or here. This one's a freebie and an easy one for Bandai Namco. Do a remaster of Gundam Breaker 3 or 2 and release it to consoles and PC in the West. Or hell, they could do the trilogy, just remaster the entire trilogy and release it. And remember, these games haven't officially been released here in the West, so that could be done, and that could be like also like a start again for the franchise. I think also something interesting to see could be an action RPG built from the ground up with an original story and an original mobile suits. I feel it's been a while since we've gotten a game like that is completely original, like built with a new engine, everything. Not like Code Fairy, which was using like the Battle Operations 2 engine. We could do a strategy RPG that is not SD Gundam, or you know, a turn-based RPG. I think that would be cool. Or hell, we could just take it back and do like a new Gundam Battle Soul. Like it could be like a 2D or 3D fighting game that is completely separate and different from what is Gundam Extreme Versus. So yeah, I always think about these kinds of stuff, what they can do with the franchise, especially to revitalize here in the West. Of course, it's not just about the games, but it's about how they approach it, how they market it, and what they think could actually sell here in the West. And as I said before, I don't think they have been doing a good job in some of those departments. But at the end of the day, I am just one man with my own opinion. I could completely be wrong, and it could be something different. As always though, it's not just about me. What are your thoughts, guys? This has been Oblivious Gamer here, and I hope you have a wonderful day or night, wherever you are.